I think the best thing that I've discovered is to work towards your purpose and to work towards your goals. And then every day is a step in that direction, or even looking in that direction, even days where you take a step back. So look for a purpose, define it, and then go for it.
Good day and welcome to another edition of the Value of Sports on the Caribbean Sports and Entertainment Management Group platform. It is a platform which is brought to you with consistency, information, stability, respect, and most of all, a true passion to highlight the untold stories of women and men like Sophie Mcilwain. And so you'll understand the importance of us talking about the value of sports. And our special guest today is a lady. And the value of sports, we want to be able to make sure that we can highlight her success stories and what she's been able to achieve so far. And this is a special moment for us because we're speaking to someone from down under. And if you know where down under is, it's in Australia. And we're right here in the Eastern Caribbean where we're broadcasting from Antigua, Barbuda, and Bermuda. Good day, my dear, and welcome to the Value of Sports, Sophie Mcilwain.
Hello, Vernon. Thank you very much for having me. As I said, it's the first time I've ever been on a podcast. I was a bit nervous, but looking forward to chatting to you. And I understand Antigua, it was Independence Day yesterday, so I hope you're not hungover. Let's begin.
Well, Antigua and Barbuda celebrating 40 years of independence. So it was a grand time. And I really want to say it for us, it's an honor to be able to have you here. Who's Sophie? And Sophie is from down under in Australia. And when we're talking about the value of sports, sounds like you've come from a sporting background. So just give us a little small insight of your little small career.
Well, I have to say it's quite the opposite. I come from a fashion background, but passionate. I hear you've mentioned passion a few times. Passion is the everything and the crux of what I do, why I do, and why I chose to suddenly change courses. I've always been a passionate cricket fan. I don't think I've ever really picked up a cricket bat or a ball, but since about 7 or 8, I used to go to the Sydney Cricket Ground and watch Steve Waugh and Michael Bevan, and they were my heroes. Zoe Goss was the first, a female bowler that bowled Brian Lara out in a special event. So she's also another hero, Belinda Clark. I just adored watching them, and until this day, it brings me, I love cricket, and I worked in fashion, but I was a closet cricket lover. I couldn't tell anyone, and especially no one I worked with, that I spent my weekends going to watch, games of cricket, and from knocking into a few cricketers in my fashion work, I realized that there was something I could add to the cricket business in my own small little way. I'm a passionate fan and supporter of Caribbean cricket, and I love the West Indies cricket team through thick and thin. And I thought that I could particularly, there would be something I could add to, being an advocate and agent for Caribbean cricketers, any cricketers, but I thought that I could bring my special brand of Aussie bossiness, the way I go about things, my interest in social media, in other causes and gaining sponsorship and commercial interest for players. So that's what I did. About 2 years ago, I became a cricket agent. 3 or 4 years ago, I started a master's degree in sports management. And here I am, being honoured to speak to you about the game I love and what I do.
Why the West Indies? Because you could have selected India, you could have selected New Zealand, you could have selected England, you could have selected Bangladesh. Why the West Indies? There has to be something. So tell me that secret.
Well, I think anyone who is passionate about the West Indies knows that there's a certain magic to the Caribbean. I'm friends with a lot of Caribbean players, and to be honest, I've seen the good and the bad, and it was really Sheldon Cottrell is someone that inspired me and inspired this whole shebang. So he's the one that you know, is in trouble for you know, making me start this path. I watched him play for the Red Force, Trinidad and Tobago, in about 2017. And we had a few discussions on where he wanted to take his career and what professional steps he could take and who could facilitate that. And there really wasn't anyone taking an expressive interest in his career in the way that I thought it deserved. He's just one example, but he's someone that I know well, so I can speak to his career like an encyclopedia. But I know that there are many, many talented kids, youths, women, men in the Caribbean that probably aren't getting the same chances and opportunities that their colleagues in Australia, for example, are. I'm accredited in Australia, so I'm an Australian Cricketers Association accredited agent. And I've learned a lot of things through that accreditation and studying there, which I want to bring to the advantage of players in the Caribbean. But why the Caribbean? Why not? Beautiful, beautiful islands, beautiful people, and you know, there are many opportunities, I think, for players and women and men working in the sports industry to really flourish themselves professionally and to bring something positive to the game as well.
So I salute you. Can you master the salute? Ah, there we
Look,
go.
I leave that to him. He's far better than I. Funnily enough, I represent 3 soldiers. So, you know, I have to get used to saluting them.
I like that. I like that wonderful, interesting story. So we're coming out of fashion and we're driving into cricket. I'm going to take you back a little bit because you said that in the days of Steve Waugh and company, who took you to cricket? Daddy or mommy? Which one?
Well, single mum, and my mum's best friend, a female as well from America. She came out to Australia in the 70s and she was horrified that there was no baseball. Being a big baseball fan in the US, she came and there is really not much going on here in the way of baseball. So she thought, okay, I'll go to a few cricket games. So she did. And I guess taking me was sort of a babysitting, you know, something to take me for a day out. And so I blame her for that, my love of cricket. We used to go and my mum would pack us lunch and I was allowed, you know, some naughty treats when I went to the cricket. So to this day, I still pack a lunch and I allow myself a few little treats and crisps and lollies so I can really enjoy my day. Now I have a beer or two, but yeah, the cricket for me is an event, and it's an event that definitely takes me back to my childhood, just the pure joy and, you know, seeing. I remember I was witness to seeing Michael Bevan score the 4 off the last ball against Roger Harper, I think it was, in the World Series in 1996. And I think Australia had been in great trouble. And then Michael Bevan batted with Glenn McGrath of all people. I think Glenn McGrath was on one up the other end, hoping not to have to bat. And I think that was probably the day that cemented cricket for me. And obviously Michael Bevan was my absolute hero. But, you know, the panic and the suspense and the pandemonium and then the celebration, you know, cricket has it all. I think cricket is like a fantastic novel. It has everything. It has action, it has suspense, it has drama. And I think, you know, it's even there, the more you learn about cricket, the more you love it. There's so much more to learn, and I have so much more to learn. I love the analytical side and looking at precedents, how this player has performed here. And, you know, I have no complaints about cricket. I love it.
Now, From a fashion little girl coming up, where were you raised in Australia? Because Australia is a big country.
Yes. Well, I'm from Sydney, and so my local ground is the SCG. I think that might be Brian Lara's favourite ground. It's also mine. So the SCG, North Sydney Oval, which is a smaller oval, they're the two grounds, international grounds in Sydney. Yeah, so raised by the beach, so we have something in common with the Caribbean there. And yeah, that's where I'm from.
Well, folks, if you're wondering what's happening on the Value of Sports on our podcast platform, we're speaking to Sophie from down under in Australia. And we just want to be able to salute the folks who've been able to make this possible so far. iMobile, Antigua Vision Care, and we also have Dem Sports cages out of the United Kingdom, and Altitude, because we know that Sophie also has an altitude. So when she comes to the Caribbean in 2022, we have to make sure that she brings the altitude with her, and she's already buzzing with excitement. So we want to take some time out to salute our sponsors and say once again, thanks very much for participating on this special podcast, The Value of Sports.
When your body is challenged, it burns fuel and energy. Respond to every challenge with Altitude Sports Drink. It replenishes, restores, and prepares you for the next level. Altitude is uniquely formulated with an electrolyte blend and magnesium available in fruit punch, blue frost, and grape. Altitude. Raise your game.
Dem Sports is an innovative sports equipment manufacturer specialising in the production of high-quality sports nets and cages for clubs, universities and schools. The development of a Dem Sports concertina cage, either as a single or double-width sports net, has helped schools in inner-city areas where space is a premium to include sports such as cricket and tennis in the curriculum in a safe and enjoyable way.
The nets were developed really for when we had schools with a problem with space, so it could be used in limited areas. It folds back to the wall to a minimum of 515 millimetres and pulls out to 8 metres just over.
This sort of equipment is exactly the solution that many head teachers will look to use. It is space saving, it is easy to operate, it is relatively low cost, and again the impact of having provision within the school grounds is a real plus point.
Dem Sports are the world leaders in sports nets for schools. They have a range of net sizes to suit all spaces and can custom build whatever you require. For more information on how we can help you transform your play space at school safely, quickly and affordably, contact Dem Sports for details.
Seeing is experiential. Seeing is everyday life. Seeing is style, class, and sheer sophistication. At iMobile Vision Care, we offer state-of-the-art lab technology and the widest variety of quality eyewear from the biggest brands to suit your lifestyle. Stop by our offices at Dr. Rosalie Drive, Lower Gambles to get a comprehensive digital eye exam, or call us at 562-7823 and ask about our optical care services. iMobile Vision Care. See and be seen.
Now, Sophia, let's get into the business of sports, or the aspect of being an agent. How important it is to have an agent, because it's not every sportsman and woman can afford an agent. And there's a myth to having an agent.
There certainly is. And when you asked me on this podcast, I definitely wanted to give some honest advice to young cricketers, male and female, about some of the myths and misconceptions about having an agent. I remember when I wasn't an agent and I was speaking to players and they were looking for agents, hiring and engaging an agent to look after their career. And I remember how excited they were. And because they believed that this person would be a professional that would look after every aspect to accelerate their career. Often this is the case, and an agent can do wonderful things, but the main person in your career and the only person that can truly accelerate and change your career is you. And I think you have to engage an agent, hire an agent carefully and considering what you want in your career. I really think early on, you know, when you're considering what you want to do in life or what you want to do in cricket, think of the kind of cricketer that you want to be and the kind of cricket you want to play, and to what level, whether it's test cricket, whether it's franchise cricket or IPL, or whether it is to enjoy cricket, have a little bit of travel, maybe go to the UK or Australia as a club professional. All of these things are valid and part of a dream, and it's only your dream. So I think you have to make your decision based on that, and to find an agent whose values align with yours, who is prepared to put in the work alongside you, who's prepared to be around and to be supportive in whatever professional way they can through the lean periods, through the quiet periods, and to sort of curry up promotion and assistance and support in times of, you know, being ignored by selectors or not being picked by franchise teams. You know, players are the currency, are the everything, are the essence of cricket. And I think, you know, there are so many other aspects of the business that benefit from players. You have to remember that you are the prize, you are the everything, and make your agent work hard with and for you. So do your research. Maybe grab a mentor, grab someone you trust, whether it's an older player, a coach, a cousin, a friend, a brother, a sister, someone that will look out for your interests, not necessarily professionally like an agent, but can guide you and someone you can bounce ideas off about your agent, about your career, about what path to take. Then when the agent offers you a contract, read the contract carefully and know that a contract is not just given to you and you have to sign it. You can look through it and find aspects, if anything confuses you, if anything you don't like or don't understand, or that you want to negotiate on. A contract is for negotiating. So please don't give it 5 minutes and sign it, because I believe you should never give anyone more power over your career than you yourself have. And I would advise that for anyone signing with me or anyone signing with anyone else. Read your contract over and take the power of your career. You're the one in control. Think about what you want. Ask the agent what they can give and ask them for a plan. Ask them to show you what they want to do over the next year. Are they going to ignore you until you have a hat trick and everyone in the IPL is interested? Or are they going to look for different avenues to get you into different franchise teams or to get you over to the US or the UK or Australia? What are their links? What are they offering you right now? What are they offering you in a year? What do you want? And do those ideas combine well? So that's my tip. It's probably said it in a big jumble, but I really did want to, if there was someone thinking about getting an agent, 18, 19, 20, I really want to, you know, have a think, because the value in your career is you and everyone else is secondary, you know, far down the list. So yeah, think, you know, consider and read carefully, do your research.
That's why it's important for us to have this podcast platform, because our mission is to educate and to be able to make sure that we get folks to understand. The information is hidden away. And so a lot of folks don't know. And so, you know, you read stories, you go on the Facebook, you hear different people with different ideas, you know, stories that they're not sure about, but it's banded around and then it's just being dismissed, where progress for our young Caribbean cricketers is deeming in that area, because I don't think we have full representation to be able to take some of our young cricketers to the next level. So that's why it's important for us to have this conversation. Now let's look at the Big Bash in Australia. We've had a number of West Indian players who have played over a period of time. We had a situation with Chris Gayle, the universe boss. We had a little alteration with Marlon Samuels and Shane Warne when he was playing. So we have all those things there. What is the challenge for West Indian cricketers coming over to Australia? And I know that outside of playing, there's also another challenge. It has to do with the tax situation. Australia is a big country on sports tax. So that in itself would be, as you rightly said, you would have to have an agent who understands that to be able to make sure that they can market you so that you have a buy-in as to what is going on now.
Look, these last 2 years have been, crazy and unprecedented in general life and in sport. And to use a cliche, I salute the cricketers and all those, frontline workers and everyone that has sacrificed so much to bring joy and health and safety to others. I include sports people in this because the bubble life in isolation, whilst it is in 5-star hotels, and I quite like the sound of it, craving your loved ones, being away from them, being away from freedom and liberty, and not knowing when it's going to end. Presidents and prime ministers don't know when this pandemic, when life as we know it will go back to normal. So cricketers are, in 6-month bubbles, as we say, and to come to Australia, there is a set of guidelines and limitations that are incredibly strict. The Australian government and customs immigration have, and as you said, taxation, there are a lot of, it's highly, regimented and controlled. And I think it is a sacrifice for cricketers to spend 2.5 months in Australia down under during Christmas away from their family and loved ones. So that is something I'm really considerate of at the moment when I'm making negotiations or proposals or discussing with players and teams if they're interested, in finding a match with each other. And I guess I believe an agent has a duty of care for the player they represent, to think about the player's well-being, their mental well-being and their physical well-being, to think about the longevity of their career. Is quick money in Australia going to impact their well-being throughout the next year? Is it going to shorten their career because they're mentally not feeling 100%, or they're putting their body through more because they're not, at home? Even the fact that they're not eating home-cooked meals, that you're living in a hotel for all this time. And let me tell you, Caribbean food in Australia ain't the same as Caribbean food in the Caribbean, So I'm very wary of this, and I'm very thoughtful of the unique situation that players are in. And it's something that I would take in a case-by-case basis, looking at what a player can achieve in their career financially, as far as raising their profile, as far as getting match experience. I think obviously Australia is a great testing ground for real mental grit. I think we all know the kind of reputation that Australian players have as far as sledging, but as far as, that power that they present on the field. And I think that's a great opportunity for any cricketers to come over and play in the Big Bash. But also there are so many other options at the moment. And I would say that Australia and the Big Bash really has to assess what they're offering players because they have competition. There's the Bangladesh Premier League running at pretty much the same time. There's the Abu Dhabi T10, which I have a few players playing in, which is incredibly exciting, fast-paced, a short period of the time, less quarantine. So I really think the question is should be put to the Big Bash organisers on what they can do to really entice and to support players coming over in the Christmas period and bringing entertainment to an Australian audience. So I would put that back on the organisers and the teams and say, what will you be doing to look after players, whether they're Caribbean players or any player? I think players sacrifice a lot for their game. You know, anyone chasing a dream, there's a lot of sacrifices that you put in, but they should also be recognised.
Folks, if you're wondering what's happening on our special podcast here, The Value of Sports, just take a look at a feature of the fashion doll who's going in to be a cricket agent. So we're just going to be able to just show you some clips and some pictures of Sophia. And trust me, just enjoy them, because she's a beautiful person with a beautiful heart and is concerned about underprivileged boys and girls. And not only underprivileged boys and girls, she's a cricket agent. And once you're a cricket agent, then it means that you're also going to be affiliated to both men and women. And just take a little look of Sophia's exploits and some of her pictures, and just enjoy them for the meantime.
Hi Ivan, thank you for supporting the Kings 11 Punjab family. We're going to continue to bring joy and entertainment from the comfort of your home. We salute you.
Ready?
Yeah.
크로스 지갑에 워싱턴 시를 뻗고 그러시는
Got
When your body is challenged, it burns fuel and energy. Respond to every challenge with Altitude Sports Drink. It replenishes, restores, and prepares you for the next level. Altitude is uniquely formulated with an electrolyte blend and magnesia available in fruit punch, blue frost, and grape. Altitude. Raise your game.
Dem Sports is an innovative sports equipment manufacturer specialising in the production of high-quality sports nets and cages for clubs, universities and schools. The development of a Dem Sports concertina cage, either as a single or double-width sports net, has helped schools in inner-city areas where space is a premium to include sports such as cricket and tennis in the curriculum in a safe and enjoyable way.
The nets were developed really for when we had schools with a problem space, so it could be used in limited areas. It folds back to the wall to a minimum of 515 millimetres and pulls out to 8 metres just over.
This sort of equipment is exactly the solution that many head teachers will look to use. It is space saving, it is easy to operate, it is relatively low cost, and again the impact of having provision within the school grounds is a real plus point.
Dem Sports are the world leaders in sports nets for schools. They have a range of net sizes to suit all spaces and can custom build whatever you require. For more information on how we can help you transform your play space at school safely, quickly and affordably, contact Dem Sports for details.
Seeing is experiential. Seeing is everyday life. Seeing is style, class, and sheer sophistication. At iMobile Vision Care, we offer state-of-the-art lab technology and the widest variety of quality eyewear from the biggest brands to suit your lifestyle. Stop by our offices at Dr. Rosalie Drive, Lower Gambles to get a comprehensive digital eye exam, or call us at 562-7823 and ask about our optical care services. iMobile Vision Care. See and be seen.
Somebody inspired you. Who is that person?
Well, I think I've sent you a video there. It's actually of my 102-year-old grandmother saluting. She's a big Sheldon Cottrell fan, and she watched him late at night with me, although she talked all through the games when he played the IPL. For the last 2 years, I was living at home with her, looking after her. At a 102, she'd lived alone her whole life until 100. And then I realized she needed a little bit of help. So I moved in with her. So my business was started from her spare bedroom and her little office sunroom. And all of the players I work with, I think they know my grandma, and they know that sometimes she loved to come in and be on the Zoom camera because she loved meeting everyone, and she was my inspiration, being a strong person, an individual person that chases their dreams. But athletes and cricketers have taught me so much. I'd also say that the players I represent, they really inspire me every day. It takes courage to face both failure and success in a public arena, and to be constantly critiqued and assessed. And, you know, every day you're having to improve on the day before. It takes incredible courage. And I'm in business, I don't play sport, but I like to take, you know, the advice and, you know, the practical information I see from sports people and apply it to my life, that you've got to, you know, face everything head on, and, you know, maintain some mindful strength in chasing your dreams and knowing what you want and following a plan. And I think we can all really learn a lot from sports people, the way they conduct themselves and the way they chase what they want, and even in the face of adversity. And that's something that I really admire of athletes and sports people, men and women.
What's been your high point as an agent so far? And you've been in a very difficult period because you've got a pandemic, and none of us knew that we were going to be living in a pandemic. But there has to be some highs and there has to be some lows. But I want to ask you about the lows. Just tell me about your high point during this period of time.
Well, I must say that I love talking cricket 24 hours a day. And my clients call me at 4 a.m. in the morning because obviously we have, you know, opposite sides of the world. So I always said I wanted to talk cricket 24 hours a day, and that's what I got, because that's when my clients call me in the middle of the night, and we'll have discussions and we'll have disagreements on who should open the batting or whatever else. Roland Butcher, who is the first Black or Caribbean cricketer to play Test cricket for England, is one of my clients. He's a mentor, commentator, and coach, and an all-round awesome stakeholder in, you know, diversity and bringing cricket to new avenues and to new people. He's from Barbados, and I mean, I've always known about him, heard about him, and just before the Australia-India series last year, which Australia lost, we were having a conversation about work, and then it drifted on to who should be who should open with David Warner for Australia. And I thought, here I am fighting with Roland Butcher, you know, the Roland Butcher. And I'm saying, no, that's wrong. No, I'm not sure about Harris. I'm not sure, you know. And I thought, this has got to be a highlight of a cricket fan's life, to be arguing with heroes and with legends. So the fact that I have the opportunity to do something I love and to talk about it, and to be given the respect to be listened to, is an awesome feeling, and one that, you know, you said there are highs and lows, obviously, but I think loving what you do and being lucky enough to do it is something that warms you and keeps you safe even during the lows, because you know that you are working towards something and doing something you love. So you know, we have plenty of lows, and I am passionate in supporting the players that I work with, and sometimes we see, you know, lapses in form, or being ignored by the team or a franchise, you know, not interested in a player that I think is valuable and deserves a chance. But we continue, you know, I take that advice from the great players that I've met and the people that I've taken advice from. Vasbert Drakes, who's another Bajan, the coach of the Windies Women World Cup 2016 winning team. He's someone that believes in meditation and, you know, mindful thinking and really bringing sport in here. And I learn a lot from him about remaining positive and, you know, and continuing on. So the blessing and the high point is to learn from these amazing people and to see what they're doing and to be involved in someone's dream. But definitely getting young players into a team, whether it's a club team, a team in the US Open, which is in Miami next month, or the Atlanta Open, which just passed, or getting them to come out to Australia for a club. That's something when you get to tell the player, and sometimes they're with their parents or girlfriend or partner, you know, that's something really special, and you think, wow, I'm part of this, and I really, you know, that's an honor. Those young players seeing I hope I can remain the agent of some of the young players like Johan Jeremiah, who's an opening batsman from Grenada. I hope I can continue to be part of his career, because I see great things for him, and I just love to see him play in the highest of arenas. So lots of positives. Every day there's something.
Woman power, woman strong, and you're representing that female aspect of the sport. Now, have you ever been intimidated? And I know Naveen told me that you're a no-nonsense person and you come over very strongly, but have you ever been intimidated?
Well,
and when I say intimidated, I'm talking about in terms of negotiations, because I know you sound like a hardliner.
Look, people try, and definitely being a female, I think that brings a different aspect, because I think women, I think part of our conditioning is to behave, you know, to please and to be polite and to remain, you know, friendly. Look, and people say, aren't we friends? You know, let me have this player for 5,000 when they're worth 20,000, when they're worth the world. First of all, I think I am the negotiator on behalf of my client. So my responsibility is to my client. If I'm intimidated, or if I am going to cave too quickly on a low price, which is not worthy of my client, then I've done my client a disservice. So when someone is playing the "aren't we friends, darling," I think there is no such thing as friendship. There is Sophie working for her client, and that is always stays with me. You know, this is not a cup of coffee with a friend. This is working for someone's dream and their livelihood, and that stays with me. That said, I think negotiations should always be positive. I'm not a used car salesman trying to sell someone from out of town some crappy lemon. I am working for fantastic players with fantastic teams, and I want to match them together so they are both happy, so we can work together in the future. So I think a positive negotiation is an optimal outcome for both the team, the franchise, this stakeholder, the owner, the CEOs, and the player and myself. So I always work that I want all three of us to be happy, or to get as close to what we want as possible, so that our working relationship is positive and that our careers will all extend. There's no point in being emotional or cranky or dishonest. You have to be transparent and to work with everyone's boundaries and budgets and needs. So I'm a mediator between all of those different wishes. And yeah, I wouldn't say intimidated. Sometimes I think people are intimidated by me, and well, if that's it, so be it. But you know, I think if you like cricket, then we will always have something in common.
I salute you. In the billion-dollar industry of sport, that is a powerful, powerful statement. As you rightly said, you're not intimidated. Maybe people are intimidated by you. So that's part of the negotiations also, in being intimidating someone. So even before it happens, they know that they're dealing with somebody who is serious and is come to represent, because the business of sports is a billion-dollar industry. So you want to make sure that you be able to protect that. Now, are you an agent for some women players also? And do you mind maybe just listing a couple? You have any West Indians under your arm in terms of from the women's circle?
Well, maybe this will be my advertisement. I would love to work with more women. I am excited by the advances in professionalism that the clubs are bringing to the game and the opportunities, because the talent and the passion and the skills has already been brought by the players themselves, but more opportunities were needed to be given. You know, a women's IPL, for example, a women's CPL. I have one female coach and mentor whom I represent in India. It's my dream to work with as many players as possible in the Caribbean. So let this be my publicity moment. To the women of the Caribbean, I would love to work with you and represent you, or even discuss your professional plans and what you want in cricket. I'm always happy to be an ear or someone to talk to and to give my feedback or advice. You know, there are people plenty more experienced than me, but I've read a few contracts and I've met a few wolves, so to speak, so I can give some critical feedback if required. I would love to work with more women. I work with mainly men. It's, I guess, a fairly male-dominated industry, but I've also met some pretty fabulous women behind the scenes, working in the World Cup T20 right now and doing all sorts of fabulous roles. So I think, you know, the future is very positive, and I'd like to play an active part in that, in whoever I represent.
You want to talk about your social media platforms? You're on the Value of Sports, so a lot of people all around the world will be looking at this special interview here with you, Sophie. So go ahead. You're on the Value of Sports on our podcast platform. So
thank you very much. That really brings me to something that I'm really passionate about, because I think that social media democratizes the way that athletes, personalities, and anyone can speak to the public. For example, the beautiful opportunity that I've been given to speak to you now from Australia to Antigua and to people across the Caribbean. It's a way of me being able to talk about me without having to, try and get on TV or, create a news program. We have the power to lend our own voice to be heard. So I'm really, really pushing the athletes I work with to create a really positive social media presence, because it really empowers you and to get the messages across, to speak to other young people, to learn, to view wonderful podcasts such as yours, but also it's a way of working with commercial interests and gaining sponsorship and aligning with values, positive values that will bring people to you as fans and as stakeholders in your success. So I'm really excited to push my athletes. So I should say that I'm on LinkedIn as Sophie Mcilwain, or Sophie Claire M Agent, which is my business name. You can find me on Instagram. It's Sophie Claire M Agent. I would love to chat with people, viewers of this program, and thank you for the platform to speak about myself and my business and to share, my experience. I can't speak for every agent, but I'm having a great time being an agent.
What's your message to the young boy and girl who's looking at this special podcast, The Value of Sports, and one day would want to become an agent, a video analyst, a cricketer, a commentator, you name it? It doesn't have to be cricket, it could be any other sport, because sport is, if we realize what has happened during the pandemic, sport is the one that is leading the way. It was the first, what we could say, assembled business that opened back up. We had the West Indies team traveling to England, and then, everything else started to bloom all over. So what's your simple message? And what sort of legacy Sophia would like to leave?
I think nothing feels better than working towards a goal with your principles and your plans focused. I say principles because there is a lot of choice to sway from a path in life, to follow things that aren't necessarily good for you, to follow things that aren't your passion or don't reward you spiritually or mentally. There are a lot of ways to become improper or to not follow your moral compass. I think the best thing that I've discovered is to work towards your purpose and to work towards your goals. And then every day is a step in that direction, or even looking in that direction, even days where you take a step back. So look for a purpose, define it, and then go for it. I understand that life is complicated and opportunities are unequal. I hope to be someone that can assist in creating opportunities, and I hope others ahead of me and behind me will also do the same. But work towards your goals, know your principles and know your value, and follow them. It's a rewarding life when you find what you want to do and you go for it.
Sophie, I want to thank you very much for joining us on The Value of Sports. This conversation has been brilliant. I think it will open up the minds of many more folks to be on our podcast platform, whether it is on Drive. And the next time you come back on, I certainly will want to engage you in a debate when England comes down under with Australia, so we can have a discussion on Drive. I'm so looking forward for that. So I've got my own views on that, so that will be a good.
There will be no debate. It will be Australia 5-0.
And that's where we will have a strong debate. It's not going to be as easy as you think it is, but we'll have that debate on our OnDrive platform. We won't talk football because we'll have to talk
There is
Aussie
only
rules.
room in my heart for cricket, no football.
We'll have to talk Aussie rules football, so I don't want to go down that road. But for sure, the value of sports, having you as our special guest, was indeed really, really, really a pleasure. And on behalf of my co-host, Carl Blankendale, who's not here with me today, it is indeed really an honor and gratitude that I say thanks for being down under and to be sharing the little spotlight here with me in Antigua and Barbuda and the rest of the OECS and the Eastern Caribbean to be able to get that message out. I feel very, very honored. I want to also salute my team, which includes Naveen, who's a good friend of yours, Rennie Edwards Ambrose, Carl, like I mentioned, Alman, Rais, our technical guy behind there. And then we have a brilliant writer out of India, Dev, who's done an excellent job to be able to make sure, and Alman and all the folks who've been able to put together this structure. We want to say thank you. And we know that this will go a long way, not only promoting you, but we're networking. And so you are our partner. And so we want to make sure that we salute you, and we're going to send some more business your way. It was indeed a pleasure.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I really
you. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yes, I want to salute you again, once again, and say thanks very much. And don't be afraid. We'll make sure that on the OnDrive platform, we'll have a major discussion. Vernon Springer will want to have a major discussion with you concerning the England, the Ashes. Let me just put it this way. We're talking about the Ashes because you know the last time India was in Australia wasn't a good, happy hunting ground for you. So I don't want to remind you of that one. But
Well,
thanks again,
yeah.
and God bless you, and
Thank you.
I salute you.
Thank you.
Have a good one. That's it this evening for our special interview. Our cricket agent from down under in Australia, Sophie Mcilwain. She was brilliant. From a fashion lady to a cricket agent. Wow, that's an outstanding story. And the value of sports was pleased to be part of that. We just want to salute our sponsors who made that possible. And we can't forget iMobile Vision Care, Antigua and Barbuda. Altitude, we've got to make sure that when we get Sophie to come to the Caribbean, she comes with the altitude. And we've got to make sure that we organize that. And Dem Sports Limited. We thank you very much. God bless you. And stay tuned. Subscribe to our social media platforms, to our YouTube, and also our SoundCloud platforms. Look out for this special interview on the value of sports. I'm your host, Vernon Springer, saying thanks very much to Sophia.